Hello, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. I started retelling this story just a few weeks ago to some memory care patients and some guests at an elder care facility, and it struck me that it's a cute story. So I thought I'd pull it together and do a happy Thanksgiving turkey special, and this is it. And this little story is called There's a Turkey at the Movie Theater. Put yourself back in the year 1930. Yes, 1930. The Great Depression had just struck, and most families were struggling to even make ends meet. And it was no different from my mother's family. As best we can recall, Mom lived on either Jewell Avenue or Euclid. Pictured here is Jewell Avenue in 1930. My mom, little June Hirsch, recalled many times that their situation was pretty grim back in those days. Sometimes they would only have one turkey that they had to make last for an entire month. That turkey was a grand feast at the beginning of the month, and they ate like kings. By the end of the month, they were eating turkey bone broth and eating like paupers. This was a memory she recalled many times. Mom also noted that when she had scarlet fever as a child, the only way to get cool in the heat of the New York City summers was for her mother to make her a little pallet to sleep on the fire escape, and they lived on the seventh floor of this apartment building. Imagine today putting a little child out on a fire escape because she was sick, but that's what they had to do in those days. Another memory my mom had of those days was that they had an ice box, but they could not afford the block of ice to cool the ice box down. So her mother used to just store their food out on that same fire escape, hoping desperately that things would stay as well as they could in those times. Now, another thing that she recalled from those days was the ice man would drive around in the big ice wagon. The ice was stored in sawdust, and he would chip away at the sawdust to give whoever could afford the ice a nice clean block, and the children would run along behind the wagon getting a little chip of that ice cold piece of ice. She said it was almost as if today children get excited over a popsicle. The kids of the 1930s got excited off of a chip of ice. Little June recalled, as she was an older woman, how her family had moved into New York City, into Queens, from upstate New York, specifically Elmira, where she had been born. The family moved there because her father was desperate to seek work. Bridges were being built, high buildings were being constructed, and the promise of work brought them into Queens. June's family struggled. They had moments of seeing things like the Macy's parade and other moments of sheer excitement. But for the most part, things were pretty dull and day to day, except for one afternoon when her father returned from work with a grand announcement. The local movie theater was having an opening night special, where the entire family could get into the theater at a reasonable rate. Now, in those days, movies were quite the big deal. You could get in for a dime and enjoy a new thing called air conditioning. Yep, they first started getting air conditioning in movie theaters in the 1920s and 1930s. And it was a super big deal because you could get out of the heat and watch a picture show, and it was just a wonderful thing. And the children enjoyed it, but they didn't get to go very often because of the cost. So on this one afternoon, when her father arrived home saying that he could get everyone into the movie theater that night for a grand opening, everyone was thrilled. And off they went to the movie theaters. When they arrived at the movie theaters, they took their seats, and her brother Jimmy reached under his seat, looking for a raffle ticket. Yes, the announcer had told everyone prior to the show beginning that tonight there was a special raffle, and under your seat was a raffle number. Well, her brother Jimmy held tight to his little raffle ticket, and they watched the show. Research reveals that there was a new theater in Queens that opened in 1930 called the RKO. Now, this is our best guess at the actual theater that June Hirsch had told this story of the theater so many times. Now, the theater was very grand, and in the lobby it had a fish pond fountain, and the statue was squirting the water up. It was a statue of Cupid surrounded by dolphins. A bit of research reveals that the RKO Theater opened Christmas Eve 1930, and it had a special event. It was giving away a turkey. Now, on this particular opening night of this grand new theater in Queens, New York, there was a raffle, and the prize was a turkey. Now, it wasn't like you and I would think of a nice frozen turkey we would carry home from the store to frost and cook. Oh no, oh no. This was a live turkey. The turkey actually pranced around the theater, being taken around with a collar and a leash, while the children and others laughed in the excitement of possibly winning this beautiful turkey for Christmas. June and her family enjoyed the show, and as they were preparing to leave, the announcer came out on the stage and called out the winning raffle number. Amazingly, her brother Jimmy had won the raffle. This was a great prize for the family and would feed them for a month. However, the butcher shop was closed, and they didn't live in the farm. They lived in an apartment in Queens, New York. So what to do? Well, her father said, we'll just walk him home and keep him overnight at the apartment. And that is what they did. Now, once they got that turkey on up the steps and into their apartment, they gave it some food, gave it some water. My mother recalls her mother had laid out some newspaper to prepare the turkey a bed for the night. And before it was time for bed, they all had a little time with the turkey. Let's just say that. They even put on some music and did a little turkey dance. They fed the turkey. They pet the turkey. They made friends with the turkey. I also recall June Hirsch saying one time, we named the turkey. Not really a great idea when you're carrying that pet turkey to the butcher shop the next day. Well, morning did come, and June's father dutifully took that turkey off to the butcher shop. When he returned home that night, the little turkey was all dressed and prepared for her mother to cook. But June remembers the look on her mother's face. Even with that funny look on her face, her mother did put the turkey in the oven. It roasted and it's roasted, and the smell wafted through the tiny apartment. But June, her brother, and her sister just could not enjoy that smell. Not this time. Not when they were roasting their little pet turkey. When the meal was finished, her mother served everyone this beautiful, freshly cooked turkey. But everyone just picked and picked and picked at the meat. No one could eat and swallow any of their friend the turkey. So the moral of this story is, never name your dinner. This is the most recent image of the RKO Theater in Flushing, Queens, New York. It opened in 1928 as a vaudeville theater and reopened that Christmas Eve of 1930 when my mother's family won the raffle and the live turkey. The theater has gone through several renovations. However, it is quite deteriorated on the interior, which is a sad state of affairs for such a beautiful and historic building. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this little story from the 1930s. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead, like and subscribe. It'll really help us out. And now we'd like to appreciate all of our supporters of the channel.